The world's religions are beginning to develop an ecological theology to help solve the global environmental crisis. Mary Evelyn Tucker and John Grimm, founders of the Forum on Religion and Ecology at Yale, say the world is witnessing the emergence of a new religious consciousness that considers the natural world sacred.
In probably the most profound way, the religious traditions for millennia have offered to humans a way of sustaining life in the midst of tremendous suffering, of despair, of a sense of tragedy, of facing death. And for some people, they would say, we are facing the death of life. We are facing the extinction of species at 20 and 30,000 species a year. This has never happened for 65 million years when the dinosaurs were extinct by an asteroid, made extinct. So what does this mean for humans to draw in a sense that we are altering the life systems of the planet, the air, the water, the soils, the prospect for food to feed this number of people, that we've exploded to over 6 billion people? Hope is, I think, at this moment eluding us in many ways, and yet I do think that if we can generate the possibilities that humans have created civilization and culture over centuries, and at this moment the most crucial thing is that we can create a sustainable, multi-form, multi-religious planetary civilization that says this is one planet, we are one species, and we have got to find our role as humans amidst a larger Earth community. That's the hope. And actually, I think the excitement about this is that there's a great work to be done. There's all kinds of work within economics and technology and politics to make this actually happen. And that's the empowerment for humans who fundamentally want to make a difference for the future in their deepest aspirations for their children, for their children's children. People are willing to make sacrifices if they're asked for the right reasons. And that, I think, tension between hope and sacrifice and possibility for a flourishing future is what religious sensibilities can offer.
Professors Tucker and Grimm view this new relationship between religion and environment as a broad interdenominational movement, not the province of any one religion.
Something new is happening. It's like a re-understanding of human-earth relations. I think that's part of the passion that moves us, rather than simply one denomination. It's in all of these denominations. Like Vatican II, this moment in the Catholic tradition in the 60s where there was this incredible turn to a state that the Catholic tradition recognized other religions, and they used the phrase rays of light, that there are rays of light in other traditions. And our teacher, Thomas Berry, would step back and pause for a moment. He'd say, my goodness, rays of light, there are floods of light in these traditions. And so what we're seeing as we undertake this project is the floods of understanding in these traditions, the radiance of these traditions in their possibility for guiding people into renewed human earth reflection.
All of the religions have begun to develop statements on the environment. They're up on the website that Yale has now on the Religion and Ecology. Each of the traditions has worked through their processes of their own bureaucracy to say creation is important, in fact sacred, and there's issues here of justice, for example, how the poor are going to be affected by climate change and so on. So there are general statements on the environment, and now we're finding even more specific programs and campaigns about issues like the climate change and global warming. For example, there's a very large project called Interfaith Power and Light based in California, but involving now over 22 states and 4,000 projects of churches and synagogues involved with examining their energy use. So it's a response to climate change and changing light bulbs and so on, but raising consciousness as well. It's been extremely effective. The evangelicals have gotten on board for climate change in a major way, and they've begun begun to partner with scientists. This would have been unheard of even 7 years ago. And that happened because two scientists in Oxford explained to a group of American evangelicals, just about 25 of them, the facts of climate change. They heard it from evangelical scientists, very high-level people, and they said, this is an issue of justice because the poor are going to be affected all over the world. They already are in Bangladesh, and look what's happened in Burma. So the evangelicals feel climate change is very much about God's creation, but also about the poor and the effect on the poor for climate change.
Religions, long preoccupied with personal salvation, are re-examining the role of humans in the natural world.
One of the central challenges for religions as they move into their ecological phase is to re-inhabit their earth orientation. And many of the traditions do have an otherworldly, a personal salvation, an obsession with the interior life only of the human. But always balancing that is a sense in these traditions that humans are part of a community, whether it's churches or synagogues or mosques, and they are part of a natural system. You can't have these rituals that were based often on agricultural cycles, the harvest and the solstice and equinox and so on. All of these rituals are around the seasons of the day, the seasons of the year. Traditions have this in their past, and the question is how they bring it forward. I think the world's religions are beginning to get on the bus, to figure out how to drive it, to look out the window and respond to what scientists have been saying about climate change and pollution and a whole range of issues, and to say, yes, we have an issue here that we need to respond to. And one of our approaches is that the religions, be they religious leaders or lay people, they've got to see themselves as partners with this tremendous movement that's decades old already. I mean, the first environmental day was in the early 70s. So religions are late but necessary. They're not sufficient, but they complete something. And that is this sensibility that humans come out of natural processes in an evolutionary sense, and we're deeply part of bioregional systems. We depend on air, on water, on this interaction of life, of plant life, of animal life, and so on. And so religions in their cosmologies, their stories of the origin of the universe and how humans fit into natural systems are beginning to re-understand. This is a new moment for examining their stories and the role of humans in the natural world. All the rituals of world's religions are very much nature-based. You can't have a Eucharist, for example, in the Christian tradition without a sense of wheat, of the earth that brings the wheat forward, or the grapes for the wine. And if the whole system is polluted, what does this mean for a sense of Eucharist, a sense of thanksgiving? What does that bread actually imply? So a new understanding of sacrament, of ritual, is emerging in these traditions, because fundamentally these traditions take nature as sacred, nature as a manifestation of creation, of a created order. And whether they have God involved or not, the Western religions do have a sense that this is a sacred and created order, and that we're stewards, we're trustees of this created order.
Professors Tucker and Grimm say that religions are rediscovering their ancient traditions in response to the environmental crisis.
The joint degree program here at Yale between the School of Forestry and Environmental Studies and the Divinity School is an academic approach to the field of religion and ecology. And that means it's interdenominational, it's interreligious, it's not emphasizing one tradition over another. It's trying to draw on all of the traditions without idealizing Asian religions or any one particular tradition. And that's the excitement that students can see this objective and yet engaged study of this conjunction of religion and ecology. Clearly we're saying these traditions in their ancient texts and their scriptures and so on need to be reconfigured. They're not the answers without rethinking where we are, because they've got to respond to very different problems than were around when those scriptures were written. But the students understand as well that there's an engagement here for transformation of persons and communities around the world. There's a real possibility, in fact, even hope.
The humanities and the sciences find common ground in Yale's Religion and Ecology program.
Another dimension of this program that has real traction is it's a setting in which humanities and the science are finding a ground for common dialogue. And this is a new and innovative field where the question of the humanities and environmental concern has been unclear. And now this area of values that Mary Evelyn has stressed, it's finding a place for investigation in this type of program, but especially the role of the humanities in this relationship, or what we might say, religions retreated or left the area of cosmology, the whole understanding of what is the world, the character of the world. It retreated from that question over 5 centuries ago. And what we're seeing now, I believe, is the re-entry of religion and humanities, broadly speaking, into the question of cosmology.
This joint program between the Forestry School and Divinity School is actually the only one of its kind in North America and in the world. So it's really on the edge of a new field of study that has got tremendous interest from the students, because many of them have studied abroad, especially in the forestry school, and understand why Buddhism could actually help in the protection of trees in Thailand and so on. So, and the divinity school students too really see that religion in responding to the world at present has to be involved in ecological issues. So the dynamics in the classroom are absolutely fascinating between forestry and environmental studies students and the divinity students.
I think what's happening at Yale is unique. This program is an example of that, the depth of exploration that's being undertaken at Yale between the humanities, the sciences, and the social sciences. And this joint degree program brings all of those disciplines to bear. It's really a unique and wonderful time to be at this setting.
For more information on the Environment and Religion program at Yale University, visit yale.edu/religion and ecology. For more information about the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies, visit environment.yale.edu.